me go across to my guests, Anil Trigunayat, a former ambassador, and Chirayu Thakkar, a foreign policy expert, joining me on the broadcast. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking the time out and joining us here on Mirror Now. Mr. Anil, let me begin with you. What do you really think prompted this attack?
Well, the in Iran recently we have seen when General Soleimani's anniversary was being made, and there was a major attack for which everybody, I mean, at least the Iranians initially thought it was the Israelis who had tried to do it. But it turned out that it was the ISIS. And Iran has been fighting the ISIS also in conjunction with the Americans for quite some time there. And it has been also against them. Now, Balochistan, as you know, is shared between Pakistan and also Iran, and they have a border of nearly 955 kilometers across. And several of these groups, including jaish-e-mohammed, which is called as Army of Justice or Adl, whatever name you call it, is located there. And in about a
Hmm.
month ago, they had targeted the Iranian police station, and they have been doing this for quite some time. And 11 Iranians were killed in that. So these are retaliatory tactics, and they take out. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, we don't have to shed any tears because this is a haven of terrorism. It has been supporting all kinds of terror groups who are internationally designated. Even this group has been US designated. Now, ISIS is again the same situation. So, terrorism is something in which, whenever there is an act take place, I think the international community needs to stand together because if it is allowed to be perpetrated in one place, it'll next day will hit the other person. Pakistan itself is also suffering from the people it has tried to harbor and try to really produce and nurture over time. Now they are the ones who are getting back to them in the Bhasmasur style. So I don't have any great sympathy on this
Hmm.
when they say that they should have been coordinated action because we are great close friends and this and that. So they do have their own problems. Shia Sunni divide is also very much there. These are Sunni groups. But at the same time, coordination for what? We have seen what happened to Osama bin Laden. They kept on keeping him despite their closest partnership with the Americans. So Pakistan is known for doing all this. Whenever they want to, they keep these groups operate from their land, and this is continuing. So I think that I don't have a very much confidence in this whole thing. But frankly, if the terror attacks take place, then obviously we are saying at least India's position is very clear that we need to respond to it. It should be responded, it should be contained, and international community must come on the border. Now, Pakistani Prime
Right.
Minister, Karak, acting Prime Minister, met with the Iranian Foreign Minister yesterday. I'm sure they would have done the explanation, although no statement has been out.
Right. Mr. Anil, as you make those opening remarks and essentially help us better understand the situation, let me get in Mr. Chirayu as well. Chirayu, the strike by Iran, of course, is significant. In fact, multiple missiles, rockets, and drones fired. But Pakistan calls this an unprovoked attack. But Iran calls this a retaliatory attack. How do you view that statement? How do you look into this?
Nivedna, good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I think Ambassador Trigunayat has set the scene for the key issue here. But let me put it in this way: this
Hmm.
Iran-Pakistan jaish-e-mohammed issue is a little bit complicated. It's like odd even. There are days when they work together. There are reports from 2015 and then 2021 that Pakistan had seriously tried to nab some of the people who were associated with this particular terrorist group, and they had worked together, and some of these people were then handed over to Iran. There have been times where Pakistan has not been as forthcoming and cooperating, and Iran, in its own way, had done its own surgical strikes and has not refrained from taking kinetic action against Pakistan. The borders are very porous, the terrain is difficult, and these groups they easily move between Iran and Pakistan. So, and again, Pakistan has two faces when all these things comes. I mean, they have their own compulsions in dealing with some of these issues because these are the people who work with local tribes. And if Pakistan takes very strong position against them, it can create domestic problems for them as well. So in many of these circumstances, we have seen Pakistan having two faces. On the one hand, they were saying to the Americans that you are violating our sovereignty day in and day out with drone attacks, and on the other hand, they were privately approving American drone attacks and allowing them to practically operate with impunity. So when Pakistan says something, I'll take with a pinch of salt, because of course they have this habit of playing all the actors against each other to their advantage. So a lot remains to be seen, but Jaish-ul-Adl is definitely an issue between Pakistan and Iran. Iran is not very happy. And if Pakistan continues to proactively harbor this issue, is going to only enlarge and create a problem in the ties.
All right, Shirayu, as you talk about that bone of contention as well and the magnitude with which Pakistan was attacked, Mr. Anil, if you were to talk about the fact that Pakistan has been completely caught off guard as far as the strike is concerned.
Well, it usually happens that way. I mean, you are not going to announce publicly and say that I'm going to take you out now at this hour or this thing. This normally happens. And Pakistan has also had this issue. India took, that the strikes that India had to do, cross-border strikes and surgical strikes. So we are not going to tell them that precisely at this hour we are going to attack. So it is there. There is a problem as far as that concerned, but the recognition should be that in Pakistan, all these kind of groups, different hundreds of groups, actually, there is a big study on this, are working there. They are being nurtured in that place. And they are become a threat to the peace, basically regional and otherwise. So I think that that is the major issue that the Pakistan should be handling on that. Of course, I mean, you come back with the sovereignty issue and this, that can be sorted out, I think, between Pakistan and Iran.
Chirayu, coming to you as far as his reaction, the DQ from what Foreign Affairs and Security expert Tilak Devashar was also stating, or rather questioning the kind of defense system and mechanisms that Pakistan have, and in the larger aspect of thing, also questioning their response to the attack.
Yes, I think Mr. Devashar was on the point when he mentioned specifically the issue of state capacity. I mean, the state capacity angle is very important here. If Pakistan specifically is unable to prevent a missile strike coming from the Iranian side. There was also a misfire from the Indian side. Afghans are able to, roll over themselves on the Durand line. I mean, what is your state capacity in maintaining the sanctity of your borders? Apart from that, there are hundreds of terrorist attacks that are going on within Pakistan, which the state is not able to prevent. So definitely there is a very difficult situation within Pakistan where state capacity is an issue. There has always been talks about how great the Pakistani army is and how great the ISI is, and they have created this domestic narrative. But what has happened is they are not able to prevent a single incident from occurring. So that is an aspect of state capacity. But there is also an aspect of state intention. We exactly don't know what the dynamics between ISI and Jaish-ul-Adl is. Are they working in tandem? Are they protecting them? Are they allowing them and turning a blind eye so that when they want to provoke Iran or use it as a bargaining chip, they can do it? Duplicity is the mainstay of Pakistan's diplomacy, as Ambassador Trigunayat would agree with me. So we exactly don't know the intention aspect of it. The state capacity aspect is very clear of the failure. And if both of this are continuing, then of course Pakistan will have difficult relations with all of its neighbors, because everybody has a single common complaint that there are terrorist groups based in Pakistan which create difficulty for their neighbors.
Right, and on that note, I want to thank the both of you for taking the time out and joining us here and sharing with us your perspective and also essentially telling our viewers what they need to understand about